I'm not selling home staging itself, is I'm not there to talk about the design. I'm not there to talk about the cushions, the colors, help us get the job as well by offering this additional value add-on. They timed every install of every size, every selection and every pack up.
Welcome back to Foxy TV, episode 220. Today we speak to Phoebe about how she speaks to potential clients about home staging. What does she focus on? What are some common objections she hears and how does she respond to those? The aim of this information is to help you, the home stager out there, speak to potential clients, so agents and home sellers, about home staging with the aim of potentially getting more work for you through the door. Now, we weren't able to record a podcast last week and we weren't able to do it this week either. So we had some questions come through. I'm tacking them onto the end of the episode. So the questions we will be answering will be, how do I encourage my stylists to be more efficient? When can we get more information on the home staging conference? How do we keep our stock clean in between installs? And a recap of Jake and Phoebe's trip to Sydney last week. Let's now get going with this week's episode. We start by speaking to Phoebe about the different types of clients and how she speaks to them differently around home staging.
When we come to a consultation, there's two different types of clients we have. We have one that have already had a conversation and they already are aware of, they have a bit of a knowledge about styling because they've had a conversation with their agent and their agent is the connecting point between us meeting them. So those clients, as a different conversation to a client who's reached out entirely on their own to reach out to us. However, what you have to remember is that they've reached out to us with some knowledge. They understand or appreciate to some extent that styling is going to benefit their sale. And I think that's the part you have to hold on to. It's not, you're not having to sell it from point zero. We're not selling the relationship from the very start. We're selling our service at that point. The discussion between the two, it differs, as in I am walking into a consult where we know the agent has spoken to the client with the assumption that they will have already had a discussion on styling. The agent generally has had some discussion about it, has some examples to show them, or has at least supported it and said, I think it's worth you getting this done. Get Phoebe and her team through and then they'll be able to guide you through the rest. I then will hold on to that trust in that relationship and the trust into that referral and then treat them. I'm going to ask them, do they have thoughts? Do they have ideas on styling? Do they know much about the process? I'm not selling home staging itself. I'm talking about the process, how we're here to make it easy, what we're going to do to the property, what I really think is going to happen, what we need to change in the property and make it appeal to more people. If I can show them there's actual tangible things that we will do in their property, they have an understanding that's a necessity, and then they can see the work equals the effort equals the price. I'm not at any point am I really ever selling home styling itself. One of our biggest points of differences, I was talking about this on the weekend, one of the biggest points of differences that we have as a styling company is I'm not there to talk about the design. I'm not there to talk about the cushions, the colors. I'm not talking about how we're going to talk about flow and all those words that people just put us into a bucket and have an understanding that that's the designer speak. I'm there to talk practically. I'm there to make a marketable real estate product. And I think that resonates really, really well with our everyday buyer, especially they're the sellers. They're the sellers that we predominantly work with. Everyday working families, not necessarily the people who need all the extra fluff around the service that you can bring. 100% you can bring that extra, but that's not what we are there for as a styling company. We're there to make it more marketable. I can explain that in terms that they understand. And then it becomes a very pragmatic decision. It's less about colors and fluff. Majority is my husband thinks it's not worth the price. Now I've used this as a way to get out of things. I've got to talk to Jake, leave it with me. I chat to my husband about it. That's my out. So that's a yellow flag for me. And if I can say, look, more than happy to send you through some examples if you like, just so that they can see what we do, how we do it. More than happy to have a chat to them if you like. I can show you those examples, see the sales numbers if you'd like to see them. However, I totally understand budget does dictate some decisions and where he's coming from. I've had those discussions before with plenty of other owners. Let us know how you go, but I'm here if you need to have a chat. I'm not going to reduce our price. I'm not going, that's not where the decision goes. I know, for me, I know budget dictates decisions. And even by acknowledging that, it seems to make it okay for them to go forward, because if I could have reduced it and if I could have taken any wriggle room out of it, I would have reduced the price for them there and then. So now they trust that I don't have any wriggle room in the pricing. I guess the other one was I've got all this furniture to move. It's a second move. And that's why we, with our boys who are full-time in the truck, we have the trucks. We offer as a service to help them get the furniture out. Again, a lot of the homeowners we are working for are everyday working families where they have younger kids or they're downsizing and they really don't have the physical capacity to be able to move their heavy furniture. So if we can make it easy, help get the sale across the line, help us get the job as well by offering this additional value add-on, then we will. So when I was developing our training modules, our staff set our benchmarks for us. So over a period of 3 months, they timed every install of every size, every selection and every pack up of the same size, and we recorded it, then we did an average. So they set the benchmark for our installation, our timeframes themselves. That way they can hold themselves accountable and we know it's something that we can achieve. On average, on a 4-bed, 2-living property with 2 outdoor spaces, I would give 2 hours for selection, 2 hours for installation and 1 hour for a pack up. They work tremendously hard. They work very, very hard to get these ones done. I think it's more the process behind the scenes as to how they do a checklist in their head as to how they're going to get everything out. I think it's down to training and setting a bar, setting your benchmarks and holding them accountable to it. That's a question for you, I think. How are we going with our website?
It's still...
Yeah, so website's being developed. I actually had somebody reach out to me yesterday asking the same question. Website's currently being developed. We've locked in the conference. It's at Ridges at South Bank in Brisbane, the last weekend of February, on the Friday and the Saturday, the 23rd and 24th, I think. Yeah, we've locked in one amazing speaker. We'll announce her name soon. We're in the background working on website as well as sponsors. We have had a number of people reach out to say they'd love to be involved in the planning of the conference. We are going to reach out to you. We will be in touch soon. We have not forgotten about you. But as soon as our website is up and live, we'll pop something up and that way you can get your plans happening, because I can appreciate it's really not all that far away. So we have a portable upholstery cleaner by Bissell that's in the back of all of our trucks. If an item is not clean, it will get switched out. If we are not proud or happy for it to go into our own property, it will come out and be switched out. We get another truck there with another sofa, for example. If something is broken or damaged in transit, it also won't go into a property, it'll get switched out. Obviously, we're going to need to dust and wipe everything down. All that sort of stuff needs to happen in between properties. We don't really have an overwhelming issue with that. People, if someone slept in the bedding, it's not going to go straight into a property. A partial property, an integrated style, would very, very rarely be used in another property, because we just don't know what to expect when we go back in when they've been living in it for 6 weeks. So those ones tend to come back to the warehouse. They have to go for dry cleaning. They have to get sorted and everything like that. But a vacant property, it gets a good clean before it goes into the next one, but they don't get that dirty. Karen Ray, it was awesome. Day one was fantastic. I really very much enjoyed it. So we did the Nail It and Scale It 3-day business seminar down there with Karen Ray. It's the first time we've done anything like that. I do a mastermind where it's bringing other celebrity speakers in and some business coaching, but this is the first time we've done a 3-day seminar. It covered a lot of stuff. There was some stuff in there that was relevant and some stuff that wasn't. There was some sunscreen's evil and all that sort of stuff, which lost me a little bit on that. Then you had lots of leadership component stuff, lots of business. They had some sales bits and pieces, lots on structure. Day one we took so much away from, and then a overwhelming amount of time spent on AI and the way you can implement it into our business. So I'm really excited about what that can bring, but also excited about what the intentional planning and strategizing component that we've really taken on board for us, what that's going to mean for our business too.
That is it for episode 220. Thanks so much for watching. If you have questions you'd like answered in a future episode or on a podcast, just leave them in the comments wherever you're watching this video. If you'd rather remain anonymous, just send us through a message, because I do understand some questions. You probably don't want staff or competitors seeing perhaps your questions. So we understand that and we can leave your name out of it. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week and we'll see you back here next week.